How is it? How is it, Mr. Anderson, that the government is now donating to the Trump campaign? What's going on?
Yeah, this is a pretty big deal as far as I'm concerned. I think the government just made an in-kind donation worth millions upon millions of dollars to Donald Trump. I mean, right now he has a 60% popularity in the field of the Republican runners for president, and the field has gotten pretty big, and Trump dominates in a very big way. One of the reasons why he's growing even more and more in popularity is this absolutely disgraceful and shameful attempt by our government, by the powers to be, to criminalize a political party, to go after the other nominee. This is what happens in banana republics. This is if history is fair, if the history books are actually fair, which is not a given, okay, but if they're fair, this is going to go down as probably the most disgraceful event in American political history. The fact that they would go after an ex-president for a trumped-up charge, pardon the pun. There's nothing to these charges. Now, a lot of people, a cynical person would say, well, all they really wanted was the mugshot. They wanted an excuse to have a mugshot, or they wanted an excuse to have him fingerprinted. They didn't get the mugshot, but they did get him fingerprinted.
Aren't you making your wannabe leader a martyr?
That's exactly what's going on. And
Like it's the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing, If
yeah,
you strike me down, I'll become more powerful. Like
yeah.
it's just isn't it like a bit of a clown world when the guy can still be arrested, indicted, maybe charged, end up in jail, and still run for president?
Well, see, they would hope that he would give up running for president, right? Their hope that because they're afraid of what could happen here. The only real politician that Democrats are afraid of is Trump. That's the only one they're actually afraid of. Now, I predicted, another one of my predictions coming true here, I predicted that if Trump got into office, the next election is going to be all gloves are off when it comes to the Democratic Party. You thought the last election with the dirty tricks, they're going to pull everything out. Now, the deep state usually like to stay in the shadows. They like to do things quietly. They quietly control their lives. They don't like to do things overtly because then they get exposed. Well, right now they're being forced to come out of the shadows, and things that they are doing are blatantly corrupt, and the public sees that, and so the public really resents it. So regardless of what you think about Trump himself, I think most Americans have a strong sense of right and wrong, and justice and injustice, and they see this for what it really is. And so they gave Trump a huge boost in popularity. For him to have this kind of improvement in his popularity in the polls, Trump would have to have spent millions of dollars on advertising and events.
So that's how you're joining the dots, saying the Democrats are donating to the Trump campaign?
Yeah, it's what you call an in-kind donation. Right?
It's literally translating into popularity, poll numbers, and physical dollars as well for him.
Yeah, I think the powers to be, I think they made a huge miscalculation, and they don't have a very good read on the American people, because most of the liberals, they live in their bubbles and they live in their echo chambers, and they all reinforce each other's ideas without really knowing. They don't bother to learn what the average American really considers important, what their real values are. And but it just so happens that the leftists and the radicals in our country, they do control all the important agencies in our country. They control the FBI, they control the DOJ, they control the entire justice system, and they control the media. Okay, so they wield an enormous amount of power. But remember, our country right now is very tribal, and it's a very divided country. And it really is a 49-49 country. These elections from now on, they're going to be won and lost by the 2 or 3% in the middle there. So all elections going forward is not going to be about convincing the majority. Okay? It's going to be trying to win over that small sliver that's in the middle. And those slivers tend to be independent and libertarians and people who do pay probably more attention than the typical American. And so, if they see a massive, injustice going on by the government and a massive abuse of power. I think that 2 or 3% in the middle there, they could rebel, and they could be looking to send a message. And so they might end up voting for Trump, not necessarily because they like Trump per se, as much as to deliver a message to the government.
Well, I've got a video file here that I want to share. I didn't show you this, but I was just before we came on, and you told me about that. I found the file. So here's Trump's reaction to what's going on. So let's take a little bit of a listen and see exactly what he's got to say here with this. So this is Trump dialing into it, and let's take a listen.
I want to read you something you wrote today on Truth Social. I will appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the USA, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden crime family, and then on from there. But I mean, would you really appoint someone, or where does this all end?
Well, they've opened up the box. Look, Bill Barr is a weak coward, and he didn't want to do anything on this, and yet, in many ways, a lot of people, sort of, including me, I said, I get it, because you don't want to go after sitting presidents and vice presidents and all of the things. So I sort of got it. Not necessarily a believer, but now they've opened up the Pandora's box. And now we're in a position where we can say, and look at the corruption in the Biden family, the millions and millions of dollars pouring in from China and other places. It's a disgrace. From Burisma, you take a look at the money coming in from Ukraine, so much money, and nobody does anything about that. Well, we're gonna get to it, and now we can do it now, because now the box has been opened. It's the Pandora's box that has been opened, and it's been wide open. So I'm allowed to do that. People will say, "Now we get it."
What do you reckon? Do you reckon that's because he didn't go after Hillary Clinton?
Nope,
when he was elected, he left that all alone. And when you hear what he's saying, he's like, "Yeah, all right, we don't want to go after those. Just let sleeping dogs lie. Just leave it alone. Whether she's guilty or not, just leave it alone. I've got an agenda here that I need to get forward, and I need to get on with the job. I don't need to be looking in the rearview mirror."
That's exactly right. I mean, if he had gone after Hillary, or if the DOJ is supposed to be independent, right? They could have gone after Hillary. They had all sorts of things that they could have charged her on. Easy things to throw her in jail. And talk about handling classified information. Are you kidding me? She puts Donald Trump to shame. I mean, he didn't mishandle it at all. So, which just illustrates how corrupt our government is, and it's all run by the deep state. It almost doesn't matter who the president of the United States is anymore, because the deep state controls everything. But if there's anyone who has a chance of draining the swamp a little bit, it's Trump, because he's not a traditional politician.
Well, remember, we talked about. I'll find the link for the Peter Navarro interview on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, Valuetainment. So Navarro said that the reason they didn't drain the swamp because there's just too many people, and it's like 4,000 people or something like that in that immediate circle there of those bureaucrats. And he said if they get back into power again, they've already got a human resources plan, a HR plan to fix that. So I know that guy is going to be in that position, and that person's going to be in that position. And we're going to solve that. We're going to get rid of all of these people that were there. And it's got nothing to do with whether or not you support Trump. It's got everything to do if you're America first. And I love that idea. I love the idea that I can look at the leader. I can look at the leader of this country here and think he's an absolute dead set moron. He's not a statesman. He's clumsy. He's not articulate. He doesn't have a grand vision for the future. He's a moron. But I can get behind some of the things that he says. I can get behind some of the policies that he's got. I don't always agree with what he's saying, but really when I step back and think about what I'm disagreeing with the way that he's spending the money. There could be a better way to spend that money. But what he's doing is he's still spending the money, and he's still trying to advance Australia's interests and trying to make it better. And that's what Peter Navarro was saying, is that the people that were in those bureaucratic positions in the deep state while they were in charge were not those sorts of people. They're not trying to advance America's interests. What they're trying to do is go, I don't like this Trump guy. I'm not doing anything he says. And they're digging their heels in and going, fuck this guy. And it's just a really strange way to be. Look, the guy's a fucking goose. I get it. Look, I get it. But his policy on a scale of 1 to 10, all right, maybe it's a 7. It could be better, could always be better. But if we help apply this policy and help to do these things, are we advancing America's interests? The answer is always going to be an unequivocal yes. But those people, that swamp, those bureaucrats are the ones digging their heels in and going, no. And they're the ones stopping America's interests being advanced. And it's the same in any country in the world. It's the same.
Well, the most expensive area code, zip code in America